It started with a knock. Just a regular Tuesday morning, coffee still warm in my hand, when I heard it, not aggressive, not polite either. Just entitled. And I swear, the minute I opened my door and saw that woman with her clipboard and artificial smile, I felt my gut tighten. That was the moment my quiet little life in Willow Creek took a turn I never saw coming. Name's Damon Richardson. I'm a software engineer. Been levying on this property for 8 years now. Built it up with my own hands. My land, my rules, and up until recently, my peace. I keep things simple. No political signs, no flags, no shouting matches about who's right or wrong. My property's neutral ground, and I like it that way. But that morning, this lady, her name was Diane. Though she introduced herself with the same smug confidence you see from someone trying to sell you timeshares in Florida, she tells me she's the head of something called the Equality Coalition of Willow Creek. Never heard of it. She points to the houses down the street, where rainbow flags flutter from porches like some kind of coordinated operation. She says, "We're encouraging everyone in the neighborhood to participate in Pride Month by flying the flag. It shows solidarity." I nodded politely and told her, "That's great, but I don't put up flags of any kind. It's nothing personal." She squinted, tilted her head, and said with the faintest curl of the lip, "So, you don't support equality?" Right there, that switch flipped. Suddenly, I wasn't just a guy minding his business. I was the enemy. I tried to explain, calm and clear. Told her I support people's right to live as they choose, love who they want, but I also believe in personal space and not being forced to make performative gestures. That didn't sit well with her. She left with a tight smile, but that wasn't the end. That night, I found a flyer taped to my mailbox, a picture of my face from my LinkedIn profile, no less, with the words "Hate Lives Here" scrawled in bold red font underneath. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. Within days, neighbors started avoiding eye contact. My garbage cans were knocked over, someone spray-painted "Coward" on my fence, and I started finding tiny pride flag stickers on my car windshield, mailbox, even my front door. And still, I said nothing. I cleaned it all up, thinking it would pass. But then came the protest. It was a Sunday morning. I woke up to chanting. Real chanting. Right outside my yard. A group of about 20 people stood holding signs, some handmade, others printed with phrases like "Silence is violence" and "Bigots not welcome here." Diane stood in front, megaphone in hand, shouting slogans like it was a rally. My mailbox was wrapped in rainbow tinsel. Someone tied a balloon to my porch railing. I stood on my steps, watching. I didn't yell, didn't argue, just watched. And Diane, she had the nerve to smile at me and say, "You brought this on yourself, Damon." That was it. That's when I called Rebecca Claire, old college friend turned civil rights attorney, and one hell of a smart woman. She listened to the whole thing without interrupting, then calmly said, "Document everything. And don't worry, we're going to shut this down." So I started recording. Photos, videos, timestamps, copies of every flyer, every sticker. And then Diane made a mistake. She showed up on my porch, pounding on the door like a repo man with a deadline. When I answered, she shoved a rolled-up flag into my chest. "Put it up," she snapped. "You don't get to pretend neutrality anymore." I turned on my phone's recorder and asked, "Are you threatening me?" "I'm giving you a chance to redeem yourself," she said, "before I call the police and report you for harassment and hate speech." I didn't say anything, just kept filming while she ranted, called me a disgrace, said I was poisoning the community. Then she turned and stormed off. 2 hours later, cops showed up. Diane had called in a report, claimed I threatened her, said I had a weapon. The officers were calm, professional, but you could tell they were annoyed. I invited them in, showed them the footage, handed over copies of the flyer, the vandalism photos, the protest videos. They thanked me, then walked straight over to Diane's house. That should have been the end. But you know how people like her work. They don't stop when they're proven wrong. They double down. A few nights later, someone left a note on my door. Just 3 words, scrawled in Sharpie. You're not safe. Rebecca filed for a restraining order the next morning. Things escalated fast. Diane started circulating a newsletter around the neighborhood, called it the Willow Creek Watch, claimed I was dangerous, anti-community, a threat to progressive values. She even doctored photos of me at the protest, added captions like instigator and known bigot. In court, she tried to lie, said I chased her with a rake, claimed I threatened to burn pride flags. The judge was unimpressed. Rebecca presented our EVY Denke, and within 30 minutes, the judge granted a full restraining order and referred Diane's actions to the district attorney. That should have been the end of it. But Diane wasn't finished. The following weekend, she threw a brick through my front window. It was 2 a.m., and I caught the whole thing on camera. Cops arrested her the next day, charged with violating the order, destruction of property, and making terroristic threats. But even that wasn't the end. A few weeks later, I got a call from the FBI. Turns out, Diane Fletcher wasn't her real name. Her name was Dorothy Fleer. She'd been using fake identities across the country to push social movements into chaos. Her scheme? Target neutral or moderate voices, escalate conflict, then use the backlash to solicit donations for her fake nonprofits. She was wanted in 3 states for fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to incite public unrest. They caught her fleeing the county, trying to board a bus under yet another alias. That moment hit national news. Dorothy Fleer, the so-called activist who turned out to be an opportunist con artist. She got life. Federal time. No parole. The lawsuit we filed, we won. She settled to avoid more criminal exposure. Part of the deal included a public apology, which she gave via a recorded statement at a community meeting. The same people who once called me a coward now stood up and clapped. But you know what stuck with me most? It wasn't the protests, not the threats, not even the broken glass. It was the way fear spreads. How one voice with a megaphone can convince a whole neighborhood that silence means hate, that neutrality means guilt. I speak now not out of anger, but clarity. I stood my ground because I believe every person has a right to choose how they speak, how they support, how they express themselves. And no one, not even someone waving a flag in the name of love, has the right to take that away. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever felt pressured to take a side that didn't feel true to you? Where do we draw the line between community and coercion, between advocacy and attack? Because I found mine the day someone told me I had no choice. And I answered by saying nothing at all, except the truth. Thanks for listening. And remember, it's not silence that makes us dangerous. It's forgetting that freedom means saying yes and no in your own terms.